Time. I am Szu-Moy, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are chatting with real people doing real things extraordinarily. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And so if you have not head over, or if you've not headed over to my YouTube channel, please do and subscribe and hit the bell to get all the latest content as soon as it is uploaded. So cheers to the weekend. I've got some amazing ladies on tonight. Cheers.
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 Cheers. It is like, so we had such a crazy, I feel like I've had such a crazy week. I don't know if y'all had like a crazy week as well, just like I did, but I mean, it was International Women's Day on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday, the 8th?
Mhm.
Yeah, on Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is. It's Friday, TJF. So International
I do
Women's
know
Day
it's
was
Friday. I do know it's
Yeah.
Friday.
Yes.
That's what I do know.
Exactly. So it's International Women's Day this week. And then we kicked off, that's a great way to kick off Women's History Month. But again, and always, we like to celebrate women every day. So cheers.
Cheers to
This
that.
cheers. Yes. This Friday, I have the pleasure of welcoming these two beautiful ladies, Jess Warner and Bethany Reese. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello. So let's get rocking and rolling and get started with our sipping with Sue chat and our drinks. By the way, this is the vodka club with lemon because I had no lime. Sorry, guys, no lime.
How do you live in San Antonio and not have limes?
So I used to have a lime tree, and I'm waiting for my lemon tree to actually produce. It's starting, but until then, yeah. And I have to get my lime tree back after that. Remember, Snowmageddon a few years ago.
Oh yes,
Bethany. So my lime and my lemon tree, they both went kaput. So yeah, I ran out of limes. Cheers.
Cheers. My
I have coffee.
My go-to Sonoma Couture Chardonnay. So
Yum, delicious.
yes.
And Jess has coffee and Bailey's. I don't know how you drink coffee like this late in the like.
No
I know it's like
It's
5 o'clock over there, but it's 6 o'clock over here, so it's a little
So
weird.
it's 5 o'clock. It's decaf coffee. I just
Ah.
need something warm. We're in
Mhm.
Colorado. It's a little chilly. Wanted something to warm myself up.
There you go.
There you go. All right, so can each of you give us a little bit of background on yourselves so that folks can get acquainted with you? Jess, do you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jessica Warner, I am 31 years old and traveling around the country with my husband in an RV, which has been really exciting. And I do IT sales for the Department of Defense, or to the Department of Defense, I guess.
Yeah, and you've got two beautiful fur babies.
I have two little fur babies. I wasn't sure if I could say the word I was going to call them, so we'll hold that in. We'll just hold that in.
We are remember our theme for tonight. All right, Bethany, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Bethany Reese. So let's see. Originally from North Carolina, but I live in San Antonio, Texas. Have been here since 2006. And you said your age. I think I'm 35. How do you know this? I lost at 30. I stopped counting.
I don't know. I guess I felt like this was a round of speed dating.
I have a wonderful husband, a 18-year-old stepson, an 18-month-old daughter. Yes, years apart. And a awesome fur baby myself, Bella, who is a toy poodle. And yes, I have a couple names for her that maybe aren't appropriate as well, but we'll leave those off for right now. Myself and my husband own our own company called Tech Human. So we do technology consulting from a human approach and work 100% remote. So I am living the post-COVID 100% remote life, and I love it.
Awesome. Well, good deal. I love it. So we are definitely like held to a different standard when it comes to being women, being females. So we are women first and foremost. We're professionals, we're wives, we're moms. We're doing it all, but sometimes there is a stigma, right, that socially surrounds us. So let's start kind of with the conversation on the workplace. Like, what kind of issues did you guys encounter in the workplace, and how did you overcome it?
So I can start with this one if that's
Okay.
okay. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so not any longer, thankfully, since I've been with Tech Human myself and my husband's company. But previous to this, definitely did see that. Mostly from a female perspective. So a lot of challenges that I faced in the past was from other females. I'm assuming feeling threatened or just kind of like I kind of at each other. I've always really been in sales, so it was female dominant, right? And we would have anywhere from 8 to 10 female sales reps at any point in time. So highly competitive. And it was a running joke how many times I was sent to HR. One time in particular, it was typically always because of dress. I was the youngest in this sales role. I was with this company for a while. The funniest to me was I was sent to HR because I was wearing fuzzy shoes, and they were like fuzzy patent leather like heels. And HR came down and was like, "Bethany, what fuzzy shoes?" And of course, I didn't get in trouble, but that's just one of the many instances. I kind of always had to watch my back. So instead of us pulling together as females, right, and supporting each other to uplift, it was like you had to watch your back. Everything that you did, everything that you said, your relationships, etc. And so I made it a point to change that in the next environment that I was in, or not be in an environment like that, because it was very toxic. And now I am creating executive women in technology groups to pull people together to really uplift each other in the workplace versus tear each other down. So that's one of my examples that when you ask me that question, instantly comes to my mind.
Awesome. Jess?
I love that. I actually wouldn't even have really thought to put that together as, it being other women in the workplace. But I can definitely see that. And I can say that I've actually dealt with some of that too. So, definitely a different perspective than I feel like I took on it. Lately, also in sales, but I haven't really felt that so much from like a pay. I take it right to pay because I feel like that's a common thing that's talked
It is.
about.
Yes.
But I actually didn't feel that way once I got out of the Army, because I've been in these male dominated fields, but I had always done things to set myself apart from other people. So, like when I was at this company called Whitlock, I was an installation technician. So I was the only female installation technician in the entire company. And I know that I was making 5 to 10% more than most of the men, just because of the certifications and things that I had brought to the table. They found value in that, and I was compensated financially for it. But that's definitely, a very different way than, obviously what you're thinking. And being the only woman, I feel like the things that I dealt with being on job sites was like men trying to hit on me, or things like that, where it just creates kind of an uncomfortable environment then.
Yeah, I love that you were, because the pay thing is also like a really big deal and a big issue with a lot of females that are doing the same work as men but not getting paid, you know, for their worth,
Yeah.
for what they bring to the table. So that's amazing. But I'm sure, like within the folks that are watching or listening, that I mean, what's your story? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that didn't have that situation. I know that my sister, when she was doing, when she started out way back in the day, and she was in, she's a graphic artist. She quit multiple jobs because she's like, I'm doing more than you guys. I'm more talented than you guys, but yet I've never been highlighted for my work ethic and what I bring to the table. And so it was very different, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, as women, we kind of try to stay in our space and not be too loud, and not, overtake these spaces. But sometimes we have to do that. You your manager is not going to know that you feel like you deserve a raise if you don't have that conversation, if you're not speaking up for yourself. My husband always tells me this because I allow it to happen. And he's like, when you allow people to walk over you, people will walk over you. So you have to, kind of stand your ground and ask your manager, what things do I need to do? What boxes do I need to check so that I can, be in this next pay group or get this next promotion? But if we have to speak up, if you're not speaking up, you're not going to be heard.
Yeah, no, big time. Totally agree. Totally agree. So, another big one outside of the workplace, and there was a lot of things that, I experienced also in the workplace, specifically in the military, where I was completely disregarded as a female. And I was, I had, there was one instance where I'm in charge of a male troop, and and my boss would not speak with me, but only with my male troop, even though I was in charge of that section, in charge of that troop, in charge of that, entire area. When it came to briefing and stuff, I mean, I was floored. Like the entire conference room was like, what just happened here? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I've stepped back in time. I was like, I'm not allowed to speak, but he can speak.
In the military too, it's so surprising because there is that chain of command, and it is, that's part of your role and your responsibility to go to that next person. And I'm sure that he wouldn't have appreciated if you only spoke to his boss.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, it was nuts, but that was crazy. But okay, so what about having a family? So there's always, and I've encountered this, I know you guys have encountered it. There's always a lot of outside opinions on whether to have, not to have children. If you have too many, people are voicing their opinions that you have too many, or you have too little. So you have when's the next one coming? So what have you guys experienced, and like, what do you do in those situations?
I'll let you go ahead. You want me to go first?
I know my journey and Jess's journey are different, right? And so that's what makes this really exciting. So one of the things that I want to specifically highlight, so I had kids later in my life. I had my life planned out. I was going to have this many kids with this husband, etc. Well, life had other plans. And so I had children later in life than I would say the norm. And I was shocked at how many people in my late 20s, right? My husband and I had been married for a while. Hey, when are you going to have kids? And something that I really want to call out that I don't think is talked about enough is what people didn't realize is they were asking me when I was going to have kids when we were trying to have kids for 2-3 years. And in addition to that, I went through 2 miscarriages. And so when people ask that question, it can really hit home in ways that people have no idea. Like that, it would just crush me so many times because of what I was going through. And I'm not going to tell the world about what I'm going through, right? But the miscarriage situation, I don't think is talked about enough. And it's real, and it happens more frequently than we realize. And so when you ask that question, it hits home. So fast forward, we had to try for about 2 to 3 years, and we finally kind of stopped. And sure enough, we got to have my daughter, which was great. But I finally achieved something that I had wanted for my entire life. And then I felt like I still wasn't good enough because everyone was asking, well, when are you going to have another one? And I'm like, but for me, right? For me, I had dreamt my whole life of having kids, and I finally achieved that after 3 years of heartache and being sad. Miscarriages are no joke. It really impacts you. And then I had her, and I was still not good enough because when are you going to have the next? That's how I personally felt. And so you're 100% correct. It's terrible. And you know what? My husband was probably never asked that question, ever.
Javier, you need to weigh in. Were you ever
I
asked this
know.
question? But I'm pretty sure that I can probably, it's probably 99% that he wasn't. He
Probably
wasn't
was.
asked that question at all.
Right.
I think too, when men are asked and they say, no, so Aaron and I, we have been together for over 10 years, and we've always kind of been on the same page about not wanting children. We've just wanted to be able to kind of live this life and still love the kiddos that are brought to us through, he has a son. So I have a stepson. So I kind of have a little bit of that box checked. I get to be like the fun one, which is great. And then,
You're the bonus
you know,
mom.
bonus mom. And so when it came to us having children, we were really kind of on the same page. And it's hard to tell people when they're asking you like, oh, well, when are you going to have children? Because it's not like, are you going to, or anything like that. But when they ask you, and then when you tell them, oh, well, we're not going to, it's oh, well, you're going to change your mind. And, you're not going to feel that way all the time. But I feel like when men are asked, they just say, oh, we're not having children. And then the conversation kind of changes. There's no,
it's accepted,
but
right?
this and but that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
just
accepted
accepted.
for them and then not for us. It's always why. And you bring up a good point, Bethany, that it's like I've already achieved what I've, dreamt of and what I wanted. This was my goal with the love of my life, but yet it's still not good enough for you guys.
Right.
And I
So
don't know
when
if
we
the ratio was like more female or more male that were actually coming up to you to tell you that, but I mean that's something that we have to kind of, get be a little bit more sympathetic, empathetic towards is like the trials and tribulations that people do go through to try to have a children or try to have children or a child, and the fact that in this day and age, it's like okay, people have children, it's normal, but you can still it's still very difficult for women to have children, and people, women still die from childbirth. That's a thing. And if you didn't want to have a child, that's also it should be okay, right?
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is crazy.
Yeah, because I've had the same situation where I didn't have miscarriages, but it was always like, oh, when are you guys having more? When you and even to the point where, because I'm much older than the two of you, but my situation is that I'm well beyond the childbearing age.
But you
So
don't
there's
look it, so I'm
You
sure
don't look
people
it.
still
That's
ask.
but it does it. That's if why are you still asking? If it's kind of weird. I don't know. The conversation, I guess maybe that's a question. Why is the conversation always the next thing? Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? If I'm retired, so I'm retired, right? If I'm retired, then as a female who's retired, why am I asked what's my next thing that I need to do? What's my next career? What's my next step? Um, my achievement and goal was to be retired. And retirement is I do what I want now. And that's
Yes.
what I thought
Just
retirement
be.
was supposed to be.
Yeah.
that is how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then why is it always that question? So when it comes to like combating that too, I think the conversation, and we need to like internally kind of um look at the folks that we're engaging with and just kind of like realize that sometimes it's not that it's not appropriate, um but maybe it's just not the right thing to say at the time, or when you're engaging with people, because everybody wants to find out, like, and you guys are sales folks, you're networking and all that stuff. The first thing that comes out of anybody's mouth is like, hi, I'm Szu-Moy, what do you do?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm retired. And then
Well,
it's like, oh, okay.
we do a lot of things, right? We're our job or is not our identity. Our hobbies are not our identity. We do a lot of things, but it is funny in those networking situations. It's who do you work for? What do you do?
Yeah.
And usually where do you live and like what's your territory or like what's your like, are we in the same geography, or like how can we help one another? So trying to get an understanding of that, but like that's not who I am.
So Jess,
I'm so much more than that.
When people ask where you live, what do you say? Because you're on this adventure with your husband and it's so exciting. What do you say?
Oh my gosh. So a great question. If I'm in the mood to chat, I will tell people that I live in an RV. Otherwise, if you're just like, if it's just like a quick conversation, I just say I reside in Tampa, because it can be a lot and people have a lot of questions, and it is really exciting, and I love talking about it. I mean, we are having the time of our life, and we have talked about doing this as a retirement plan for a really long time. And then it was kind of like, post COVID, remote positions, Aaron's not traveling for work as much. I was somewhat in a remote job, so it just kind of made it easy to do, like, let's do this now while we can hike. Or I spent the whole day snowboarding here in Colorado. So like doing those kinds of things to just keep living, that's our dream, right? Is traveling and being adventurous and seeing new places together.
I love it.
I love it. What drives both of you as women, as a woman, as a professional, as a wife, Bethany as a mom, like what drives both of you?
Jess, you want to take this one first?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the driving factor as a wife is just to be as supportive as possible, for my husband. He's got a lot of exciting new things, and he's starting his own business with, some partners, some friends. So watching him go through that's really exciting. Being able to be here to support him through that, there's a lot to, and Bethany, I'm sure to building a company and taking that on. So lately, just that's been the drive. Like, what else can I do, around the house to help with, since he's extremely busy. But I also work too. So I feel like when I'm having those days that are hectic, he helps pick up the slack. And when he's having those days that are hectic, I'm picking up more of the slack. And I think that's for my marriage, like that's the driving thing, is that we're just a partnership and just pushing to have balance and to be a cohesive unit when it comes to our home.
And as a professional, what drives you?
A lot less lately. Just being honest.
She's in transition, y'all. She's in transition.
No, I spent at my last company, I was there for like 6 years, and it wasn't I shouldn't say it was a hard job. It just was, in sales, you are going to get out of it what you put in. And, I was working extremely long hours. It was to keep pushing, right? You have these goals, you want to sell more, you want to hit numbers, you want to make yourself proud, you want to make your family proud. So those types of things are, drive me for work. But lately I've kind of let off a little bit and focus more on like chasing happiness and not chasing a paycheck. And I think there's a lot to be done with that too. So yeah, I'm in a weird transition part of life, I guess.
Yeah, but focusing on self-care and you as number one priority is amazing. We do so little of that, and we realized during these last 2 years in COVID that it's kind of you're number one. And if you're not number one in your life and for you, then you can't take care of anybody else. You can't love anybody else. You have to love you first. It's a lot of that. You have to be happy yourself first. So no, I love it.
Oh,
I get that.
absolutely.
I totally get that. Bethany, what drives you as a woman and as a professional, as a wife and mom?
Yeah, so I mean, so many things, right? But for me personally, I have to be driven by myself in a way, because if I allow other people to drive me, I have fallen short of feeling satisfied. And so for me, it's really about, hey, what do I want to do, and what do I need to do for me to make me happy first, right? And then I can be the best version of myself for everyone else. I can be the best wife. I can be the best mom. I will say, prior to having the little and mini me, totally like looks like me, acts like me, it's kind of scary, talks like me, yeah. Prior to that, it was a lot about career and success. I wanted to prove to myself, no one else, to myself, how successful I could be, that I could become this person. She has definitely mellowed me out in that way, because now I feel challenged in a whole nother way, because I have somebody watching me 24/7, right? And how I live my life is going to teach her a lot about how she is and how she lives her life. So simple things like the way that I talk with her, right? The way that I talk to her, the way that I talk myself, how she sees that I talk to myself. So many things have changed since I had her. That has really just put me on a whole nother level of challenging myself, and also making sure I continue to put myself first, because I want her to do that in her life, right? I don't want her to put anyone else first, right? It's kind of becoming the best version of myself, being content, being happy with me, right? Like after retirement, what do you do? Well, why can't I just be, right? Be, just be. So so many, right? I want to, of course, be the best mom, the best wife, but first and foremost for me, it starts by being the best me. And that is things like working out, doing affirmations. I'm a big self improvement guru of the people you surround yourself with, the things that you tell yourself are who you will become. And so I'm a lot into that type of stuff, and just becoming a better me every day. It's different every day, right? So we just
Yes.
never know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. What advice would you give to other women when it comes to combating stigma based on gender?
It's a tough.
I mean, I feel like my thing, I kind of touched on earlier, but you really have to stand up for yourself. And
Yeah.
there almost just because a stigma is there doesn't mean we have to fall to it. And, if we speak up for ourselves, and if we ask what's required to hit this next level or this next promotion, you know, we have to vocalize what we want. And kind of like to Bethany's, affirmations, if we can do those for ourselves, we can do those in the workplace as well. We can do those in any space. But just speaking up for yourself is probably the top place to start, in my opinion.
I love that one. I would agree. I don't think we speak up enough. Definitely speaking up, and really one of the tips that I would give is really making sure whatever you want to do, or whoever you want to become, make sure it's for yourself, right? That you're not trying to prove anyone wrong, and that you're okay with it. An example is, a lot of people tell you that you can't have a family and a career. You have to pick, right? And it is challenging when you go to have a family. But for me, what I had to do was choose what I was okay with and what I wasn't okay with. And I feel like we could do that a lot better as females, right? In the workplace, outside the workplace, is all right, I can't be everything for everyone, and nor do I want to be everything for everyone. But what am I okay with? Like, who do I want to be? And once we really figure out who we want to be, I think we can work towards what that looks like by speaking up, by going for that challenge, by being okay to be not 100% confident, making ourselves outside of our box and uncomfortable. Uncomfortable can be a really good thing in the right way. Again, when you know what you really want and you're doing it for yourself, and that you want to achieve that.
Yeah, I was always told to,
Yeah.
when you get yourself uncomfortable, that's when you grow,
That's
right?
where growth comes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you so much. Is there anything else either of you would like to add?
Thank you for having us. This was awesome and amazing. So
Yes.
thank you for being you. I always love conversations with you on the podcast or outside of the podcast. So thanks for joining and asking us to join today. It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What
Yay.
Bethany
Well,
said. I
good.
don't think it can really be said better than that.
Well, what I like to do with my guests always, and y'all know, is that I like to do a just for fun speed round. So y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Who is your biggest role model?
My mom, hands down.
Oh God.
It was my mom, and then it was, oh God. Okay, so it was mom and God. Okay.
Mom and God.
Biggest role model, I would say Javier, my husband.
Okay, awesome.
That's cool.
If you were to be described as an animal, which animal would you be?
Okay, Erin and I kind of talked about this one earlier, but
That's
honey badger,
cheating. How did you
honey,
know?
honey badger, sweet on the outside, feisty on the inside.
I love it. I love it.
I would say a butterfly because I feel like I've grown from a caterpillar to a butterfly.
Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful. I love that.
that's beautiful.
Okay, so favorite thing to do to relax?
Outside, anything, as long as it's not 110 degrees. But we live in Texas. Outside, anything, nature is my relaxation. Working out also, but I would say nature first.
Yes, I want the 100 degrees. I want to be sitting by a beach, just chilling in the sun. That will decompress anything out of me.
Yeah. I love it. I'm an outdoor girl too. I love the nature part of it. If you have mountains in the background, that's my happy place. So I love it. Or a nice hot bath with wine. That works too.
That works too. Yes.
That also works. I'm really missing a bathtub in the RV. That's really
Oh,
my
yeah.
one big thing is that used to always be a go-to option for
Mhm.
me. Just sit in the hot bath and no bath here. So
Soon though, soon. You're about to end your world, your nationwide trip, right, around the US.
yeah,
So
we'll see. We'll see.
so yeah. All right. So one thing you would like to would like to accomplish within the next year.
I just want to keep chasing happiness. I feel my best. I feel like I look my best. I just am living this amazing dream and I don't want it to stop.
All
I
right.
want to find a way. I was an advocate every 5 day a week working out or yoga girl prior to having a little. So I want to find a way to have career, family, and still get back into working out. That's my goal.
Gotcha.
I like that.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I love it. Thank you so much. And for everyone else, have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.